welcome to Angst, the podcast, hosted by the lovely Stephanie Davis.
Heyo.
And myself, Donnie Davis. The point of this podcast is simply to share sources and stories of our anxieties, things that we have struggled with for as long as we can remember, with the goal of hopefully adding a little bit of laughter, but also maybe making you realize you're not alone with what you feel.
Absolutely.
Any changes to that? Anything to add?
No. You think I'm anxious?
I'm not diagnosing you for anything. This was your idea.
Well, let's pause. I know you have an outline, so
Yeah.
I just learned that when you host a podcast, one person has an outline and prepares, and the other person wings it. I'm the wingman here. I'm the winger here.
Yeah.
Winger.
Winger, chicken dinger.
So, but I want to pause our artwork for the podcast.
Yeah.
It is pretty deep.
If you're
and
listening to this,
cute.
you've seen it.
Yeah.
So let us know how you think about it.
Yeah, I don't even want to
If it's
explain
good.
it. Like, I don't want to explain it. I want people to like get it. And if you don't get it, we've really missed the mark. We'll
If you
talk
don't
about
get
it later.
Just stop listening to this podcast. We don't
Yeah,
care.
we're not a match. You know what I mean? If
Yep.
you don't get our basic,
Creative instincts.
yeah, this isn't going to work out.
Hmm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, we're already helping people solve problems.
We're getting to the know.
Get to the no. Start with no.
Yeah, so she alluded, I do have a little outline sitting in front of me. The first couple episodes might seem a little bit more like structured, and I think we'll get away from that as we get more like in the groove of talking about this stuff, but I kind of just wanted to lay a groundwork for what we're actually talking about, meaning like what anxiety is to us, and then like you'll get to know us a little bit better over the next couple of episodes. Yeah?
Yeah. I'd like to get to know you.
Yeah, you can get to know me.
Yeah.
Oh, one important disclaimer. I want you to share it, actually, is that we're not professionals. Get into that.
Yeah. So while we are not professionals, medical professionals, we've paid medical professionals plenty of money.
Couple of them.
So we are going to just be sharing what we've learned. Okay. Again, we are not your medical professional. Don't take our medical advice.
Or physical.
Other than drink more water, and you probably need more vitamin D. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. That's as deep as my medical expertise is going to go.
What was
I
that
got
again?
a lot more I could give y'all though.
Drink water and what?
Take more vitamin D.
Yeah, we're not. We've gone to multiple professionals.
And go on a walk every day. Start with 15 minutes. That's it. That's my soapbox. I'm finished. Back to the outline.
We've consulted with multiple professionals. We've also read lots of books.
Books.
We do be reading. We do be watching shows about how to fix yourself. We're big on getting to the core and trying to fix this stuff, but I think it doesn't really go away in my experience. So
it's
how to live with it.
Yeah, we might be doing it wrong.
All right. First up, we're just going to read. I'm going to read the definition of anxiety.
All right, hit me with it. I haven't seen this.
This is the psychiatric definition for those of you that are detail oriented.
I don't know about you, but when I hear the word psychiatric, I go,
Really?
a little bit.
How come?
I just picture a mental hospital. And there's no disrespect, but it makes me feel scared because I've seen movies about it.
Yeah. The psychiatric, sorry about that. The PSY definition of anxiety is a mental condition characterized by excessive apprehensiveness about real or perceived threats, typically leading to avoidance behaviors and often to physical symptoms such as increased heart rate and muscle tension.
Ooh, I stay with both those things.
What's funny about that in regard to you is that you actually have anxiety about your heart rate.
Oh, I'm constantly checking my heart rate. Trying to get that RHR down. Resting heart rate for those of you that don't have an Apple Watch or a Garmin.
I definitely have the muscle tension part.
I've got it right now.
I don't know. I guess avoidance behaviors are in there too. Yeah,
What
I mean,
is
this
that?
all
What's
seems
an avoidance behavior?
distancing yourself from whatever you're stressed about. either physically or mentally.
Oh, like not making that phone call.
Not making the phone call, disassociative stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cleaning the house frantically instead of addressing what's stressing you out. That would be me.
I was going to say we're very comfortable saying that.
Yeah.
I don't mind that.
You seem to add to it.
Excuse me? What does that mean?
That was just a joke.
No, let's break that down.
No, this isn't a therapy session for us.
I'm not a slob, if that's what you're trying to say.
Never said
I'm
you
the only
were.
one sitting here now with a shirt on, for the record.
We'll post episode pics at the end. So you're cool with that definition?
Hit me again with it.
Oh, man. Okay. A mental
I was
condition.
dissociating when you read it.
A mental condition characterized by excessive apprehensiveness. Oh, that was a loud breath. About real or perceived threats, typically leading to avoidance behaviors and often to physical symptoms such as increased heart rate and muscle tension.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that hits it pretty well. What did Urban Dictionary say? I like to go there first to look up definitions.
We'll have to do a follow-up with the Urban Dictionary anxiety. A couple of statistics around anxiety that I found. Again, this outline was provided to me by ChatGPT. So if you don't like it, take it up with OpenAI. Anxiety is the most common mental disorder in the United States. Believe that. Any commentary on that?
No, but you swallowed really loud after you read that. Are you feeling anxious right now?
No, just
a hefty swallow.
just be a swallower.
Okay.
31% of all adults will experience anxiety. That seems low.
That's super low.
I'd like to talk to the other 69% of the
Yeah,
people.
where are those? We'll find them and we'll get them on this podcast.
We're never going to stop recording the show.
Never.
The societal impacts of anxiety, or at least the social impacts. So one thing I found, it said that anxiety can also be hard on those in people's lives,
Yes.
causing problems in social relationships.
Yes.
Additionally, anxiety is linked to marital distress and a decline in relationship satisfaction.
Oh.
I feel like that's actually the opposite for us, maybe because we're together in this particular foxhole.
Well, so this is interesting that you bring this up.
Oh, wait.
Well, no. I don't mean like that.
Well, should I finish reading this, or do you want to take it, like, pause my reading?
Well, you're the one with the plan. I'm
Go
the
ahead.
one winging it. So
Yeah,
you
wing
let
it.
me know how
Wing
this
it.
works.
Wing it, little bird.
So I didn't realize you had anxiety until about a year ago.
I don't think I even realized that I had anxiety until a year or so ago.
Okay, so. Oh, no, I swallowed really loud. So we've been married 15 and a half years.
Yes.
And 1 year ago, we both realized you have anxiety.
Okay.
So those previous years, to you, I was the only one that really had the anxiety.
Yeah, I think that it would be fair to say that our anxiety definitely presents itself differently. We handle it differently, but go on.
So according to what you just read, is that null and void because technically you were anxious AF? We just didn't know it? Or do you have anything to say? It's not going to hurt my feelings.
Oh, wait, are you asking if it was hard on me that you had anxiety?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's definitely, it's inconvenient.
Excuse me, what does that mean?
Well, think about it. Like, I don't know how like deep into your own issues you want to go into, but like even like, let's just stick on the very surface level one, like the germophobia-ish type stuff. Like,
Yes.
there's definitely like times where it would flare up on you in certain situations where there's just, okay, well, we can't wash your hands right now. So like now everything just feels very stressful
Right.
and there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah.
So does that make sense?
Sure,
Does it
yeah.
feel like I'm coming at you? You look a
No,
little bit.
not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Were you expecting me to say something different?
No, I didn't know what you were going to say.
That's just the example that just popped into my head. Like, yeah, sure. Like, I don't think it causes problems in our relationship.
No.
Or did. Or does. But it,
Stressed you out.
yeah, it caused problems, just not like like relational problems.
Okay. That's all.
And there was no distress or decline in relationship satisfaction either. Fear can make it difficult to spend time in social relationships and to initiate or deepen connections with others. I don't think I have that kind of thing.
I think that I could.
Yeah, I've had social anxiety in the past for sure. I don't currently.
Yeah, I think that I could. Like, I don't like to make plans because I don't know if I'm going to be in the mood when it comes.
I can't tell what you like less, making plans or following up with plans.
What is that? What do you mean the following?
Doing the plan.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like,
it's almost like you hate having a plan.
It just feels like there's pressure now that I have to do this.
Yeah.
And there's a million other things that I have to do. So I don't want to feel like I have to do something that's supposed to be fun.
Interesting.
And then also canceling, right?
Wait.
Gives me anxiety.
Oh, the act of canceling the plan gives you anxiety?
But when people cancel on me, I'm like, all good.
Thank God.
Yeah, it's like, thank God, or that's a bummer, but I'm still going to go. To me, canceling's not a huge deal to me.
It almost seems like the plan itself is like a cage for you.
Cage.
So would your ideal scenario be like, hey, we'd like to do this, but it's cool if you... Like, what would be good for you if someone wanted to make a plan with you?
First of all, you shouldn't ever want to make a plan with me because it's going to stress me out. Second of all, this is how it's worked. I have one friend who's very good at this. Hey, I am doing this on Saturday at this time. If you can come, great. If not, no worries. And it's like, oh, now I feel like I want to do this. Mm-hmm. Right?
That's good. Yeah.
You're like, hey, I'm doing this regardless. Come or don't. And that's how I try to invite people to things like my friends. Like, hey, I'm going to hot yoga at noon. Mm-hmm. You should come if you want to.
I was actually listening to this intently because I feel like there's times that first of all, I feel like as a man, I want to make plans.
Right.
And I want you to know that I'm planning
things.
As
a woman, I would like to know that too.
But then also it seems like there's a lot of times where setting that plan stresses you out.
Yes.
So it's a tough one and then I get anxiety about stressing you out.
Yes, real hamster wheel over here.
I'm not going to stop making plans though, so that's the good thing.
Well, maybe just try to approach it like I just...
Yeah, and I'll just go without you. I'll go on a date without you if you feel like not going that day.
I will show up. I will flip that table.
Just me by myself.
Just you sitting there with a bowl of spaghetti.
With 2 margaritas.
See, I went Italian, you went Mexican. That's funny.
Yeah. Well, who knows?
What restaurant were you picturing?
Good Company.
I was picturing Zanti.
Oh, man. Those are 2 spots, guys.
I would wait till they brought your dessert out with the flaming candle.
You think I'd order that all by myself?
You sure would. And then I would be like, hey, I changed my mind.
It'd be the most confusing altercation that ever happened in that restaurant.
And then here's how it would go. You'd be like, yeah, I knew you would, so your pizza's on the way. I'd still flip the table, though.
I would snap twice, say garçon, and they would know what that meant.
Garçon. Snap twice. You did this.
Yeah.
Garçon.
The double snap, garçon.
There's
like,
not one person named Garçon there.
It's not a name. It's a title, I think. Isn't it? Doesn't that mean waiter? We're going to have to Google that.
Anyway.
Okay, so this is the part of the podcast where I have slated for us to share one personal experience having to do with anxiety, whatever you wanted to share. You can start if you'd like, or I can start. I don't want to put too much of a plan on it.
You've had plenty of time to think about this, so
I give you a week.
You didn't tell me this is what we were going to, like, this question. I mean, I've got a Rolodex of not going to age myself 30-something years to pick through.
So I was just going to share...
Oh, I've got one.
I knew you would. My earliest memory of anxiety, and I don't know if it's normal, but I have lots of memories from like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah, I don't know if I do.
They're not it's like a movie in my head, but like there's very vivid bits and pieces of memories.
Okay.
But I very clearly remember laying in my bed every single night before I would fall asleep and imagining and worrying about my family members dying at 4 years old. I remember it clearly. Man. And just laying there. And that's how that was my bedtime story that would run in my mind before I fell asleep.
How would you picture them dying?
I mean, this is going to be like dark.
I'm here.
I can remember a long stretch of time. I don't know if it's because I think that I must have seen somebody on the news get attacked in this way at a bank, because it's a bank in my head.
Oh, the bank.
But I would imagine somebody like savagely beating my grandmother.
At the bank?
Mm-hmm, in line at the bank.
How much cash did she just pull out?
In the drive-through part. Like at the ATM.
So...
Well, I don't know how much... I mean, I don't have details specifically.
I feel like she's catching out a wad if somebody's going to do that.
Yeah. I don't know the reason. It's just...
Like they just in the window start hauling off? That's so sad. Mm-hmm. That's like a hefty...
I must have seen that
happen. I hope our daughter doesn't have thoughts like that.
I hope not, too. We did recently start letting her watch movies about...
avalanches and what have you. Okay, that's a good one. So there was this one I was going to share from when I was like 15, but I think we can take it back a little earlier.
Okay.
So the majority of my life have been terrified of throwing up. So scared of it. I don't know why. When it started happening, there's usually, I've Googled it, like there's usually like you've thrown up in public, which literally that's all I ever did growing up was throwing up in public. So that's probably, right? Hey, my stomach hurts. Don't care. You're going to the dentist. And then here we go, right? So I was very terrified of throwing up. And one night before bed, my mom was like, hey, did you brush your teeth? And I lied and I said yes. Guess what happened that night? She threw up. And I said, if you would have brushed your teeth, you dog, you probably wouldn't have thrown up.
Speaking to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you like have an OCD thing about brushing your teeth for
Every night. Every night I'd brush my teeth. And I'd be like, oh, I'm good. I'm not going to throw up tonight.
Interesting.
That's silly, isn't it?
I feel like you have a lot of superstitions around that kind of thing. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Certain color t-shirts I like to wear if I'm not feeling well. Man, I'm half nuts, but I love it. It's, whatever works. I still don't want to throw up.
Right.
But it doesn't scare me like it used to. I don't want to do it. It's awful.
Well, nobody, yeah, I mean.
I don't want people who are like, man, I love throwing up.
Who? Psychos.
I don't feel like my sister's cool with it.
I have no fear of throwing up. And there's times where I've made myself throw up in order to feel better.
No, see, I will rot and decay for a week.
But if you're like, and experiencing ecstasy while you vomit, I think that there's a whole other podcast about that.
I think there's people are like, I know a gal actually. I'm not going to say her name, but she like has zero issues throwing up. It's like, oh yeah, I puked. And it's like, yeah, I'd like to get there. Not that I just want to be vomiting everywhere all the time, but where it's like not a big deal.
Yeah, it's just a thing.
Yeah, it's much better now that we're parents. Because let me share another story. Like I remember growing up in school when there was a tummy bug going around. Once a year it happens, sometimes twice. I would be so scared. I had a ton of siblings, right? They're vomiting. I'm like, any time now. I'd be so scared to eat. Just felt like a ticking time bomb.
Okay. Early age. Like, you've always been afraid of throwing up.
Oh, for as long as I can remember. I'd cry and cry and cry about it as a kid. They took me to the doctor, like something's wrong with her stomach. And I wish I could have been like, nah, dude, I'm just super scared to puke every single day.
Did you know in your head, or did you think there was something wrong?
I think I just didn't know what to think about any of it.
Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah, my parents didn't know what to think about it. Right? Now, I'm like, if that's my daughter, I got a host of questions locked and loaded to get to the bottom of this. But this was early, you know what I mean? Right. Like later in the 19-somethings. Like that just nobody, it was like, oh, she's just complaining again.
Yeah,
right?
Jokingly, I was about to say nobody cared about their kids. Obviously, people cared about their kids, but it was a different time.
Yeah, that wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Anxiety wasn't a thing, and I think that's why we struggled with it for our whole lives, because it was like, just go play outside.
Yeah. Well, that actually leads perfectly into the next thing, which was talking about myths and misconceptions around anxiety.
Okay.
I kind of wanted to do this.
This is a great outline.
Oh, thanks. So I just wrote down 2 of them, but I'd like to hear some of yours. I'll just say the ones that I wrote down. Like, first of all, basically what you were just saying is that it's all in your head. You know, like, just get over it, or have you tried not worrying about that?
There's this thing I'd repeat in my head. I also feel like hormones played a lot into this too. Like, it definitely had a huge buildup in those years. I was like a late bloomer too. So like, I was probably like 23 before this all started to settle.
Yep.
But it was still not great. But there's this thing I would say to myself, it's all in your head. It's all in your head. And if I would have just said to myself, girl, this really is how you're feeling. And that's okay. I think I would have just been on to the next thing and it wouldn't have been an issue. But I would just say to myself constantly, I think probably one of my parents told me, it's just all in your head, stop. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's just all in my head.
Which it is, but it's like, that's not helpful.
Yeah, get me out of here.
So it's interesting. I think I told you this, but with our own daughter, I took this from somebody on Instagram, actually. It wasn't even about anxiety, but I'd say like she was afraid to get her blood drawn the other day.
Oh yeah, you handled that so well.
So I said, I want you to repeat after me. Sometimes she'll do that, sometimes she won't. And I was like, this is going to hurt, and that's okay. I'm scared of this hurting, and that's okay. And it really seemed to help her.
I will say, and we have talked about this before, we had a good breakthrough when I was like, hey, so when I'm worried about something and you act like it's fine, my levels are still going up. Doesn't help me. But when you say, hey, I'm actually worried about this too, I'm like, oh, this is not that big of a deal. What are you so worried about? Right? It helps me to feel better.
Would it also help if I'm legitimately not worried about it, if I just said, yeah, I can see why you'd be worried about that, or what would be helpful?
Oh, yeah, acknowledging.
Yeah, I could see how that would stress you out. I could see how that would be.
Yeah, don't say, like, don't come at me like, oh, I could see how this would stress you out. I could see that for sure. Just like, oh, yeah. That'd be nice.
I'll work on that.
And you're doing a good job. Anyway, that was a great thing that you did with her, and it all went swimmingly.
Yeah, I think that
just
helped.
Acknowledging, yeah, this is probably gonna hurt.
Yeah, it's gonna hurt, and that's okay.
Yeah,
that's not it's not gonna kill you.
Yeah,
you don't say that either, but
yeah.
So all in your head. Also, I think a huge one is that it's a weakness. Now, obviously, it's not a strength. But
I think mine can totally be a strength sometimes.
Yeah, I'll get into that
right now.
Yeah,
because I've already planned the worst. So they say, when you worry about it, you deal with it twice. No, I've dealt with it in my anxiety. So then when I get to the scenario, I'm like, we've already been here before. I knew this was going to happen, and I've already been here before.
So when you are angst about things, you kind of in your head play through how you would react to it?
A whole thing.
Interesting. I don't do that at all. If I'm worried about something, it's really more of like a deep dread. There's no like solution, problem solving, or story.
It's rambling around up here, 100 different scenarios. And this is not, I want to say, like, I'm not operating this way all the time. It's when I am, mine presents itself now that I'm an adult and have done all this work and stuff. It just presents itself when I am extremely stressed out, when I feel completely out of control of my life or of what's going on. That is when mine is like, man, we got to go back to what worked. We got to start worrying about, we got to start all these things. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Let's do it. And then I realize I actually feel worse.
Gotcha.
Let me step back and control what I can. And it's not my thoughts in the moment, right? We're going to start with something basic.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is there any, so I only wrote those 2 down. Are there any myths or misconceptions about anxiety that have been, either told to you or that you've dealt with that you can think of?
I mean, I just know people that are like, just get over it. Like, just stop.
What if you could, right?
100%. Like, yeah, I'd love to not be anxious about this. I'd love to not go to worst case scenario sometimes.
I think that especially people that say that, and I think going back to the whole 31% statistic, I think that most people, like myself until very recently, just don't realize that they are. Like, you look at people and you talk to people and you're like, oh, you're stressed, and you don't even know it.
Yes. It's like, I can tell like looking back, I'm like, oh, my guy was so anxious. Right? We have these same, like, we get into these things, not to go too deep.
Get as
but
deep
it's
as you want.
like, you know, we would argue for the longest time. Hey, when we're having an issue and I say, this is what I like need from you, right? You're like, cool, got it. And then you revert back to like, I got to do the dishes. I got to do
My stress behaviors.
Yeah, you do your stress behaviors. And I just kept thinking like, why isn't he getting what I'm saying? I'm telling him, this is not what I like. Stop doing that and come be with me, or stop doing that. And like, you know, and I could not ever, I thought that like you honestly, and even though this is not in your character, I thought he is just doing this to spite me, but you've never done anything to spite me that I'm aware of. So now it makes, I couldn't figure it out for the longest time. I could not figure it out.
Yeah.
And now that I know, I'm like, let him ride. Like, this is best. Like, it's great, actually. This is, he thinks making him feel better, and the house is all picked up. It's fine. It doesn't hurt anybody.
Yeah, it is a good, it's a beneficial stress behavior for
Yeah,
sure.
some people, like, take drugs. You just do the dishes.
Yeah. I get my fix from cleaning up.
You and that Dawn dish soap. Is it about, like, the way that it suds that helps you, or what do we...
It's just the
Slippery cups in your hands?
it's decluttering. It's positively affecting my environment, I think, is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll move on to coping mechanisms and treatments. We talked a little bit about this.
Yeah.
Treatments meaning therapy, medications, lifestyle changes. Coping mechanisms meaning mindfulness, breath work, more
Done it
like
all.
actionable things. I guess I think of like coping mechanisms as things you do for yourself, and treatments meaning things that people do from external,
Okay.
more or less. You actually have more experience with therapy and meds for this kind of thing. Oh,
Yes.
no.
Yeah.
Yes. So could you share a little bit? Because I haven't gone to therapy like specifically for anxiety. I've
Okay.
never been on medications or anything like that. So you want to share your insights on that?
Yeah. You really maybe honestly should just try to go set up a session with our girl to talk about that anxiety.
I should.
Anyway, so yeah, I guess it wasn't until when we first got married,
Shorty was twisted up.
angst hit me hard. And I think that was for a couple reasons. I lived at home my whole life until you and I got married. I was the last kid at home with my parents. I had no problems with it. I loved it. And then all of a sudden I'm married, have a full-time job, we lived in an apartment. All of a sudden I'm faced with like being an adult, and I've just been a kid for 21 years. So that was a lot for me, going from living with my family to living with you. It was new for you too. We had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah.
Children. 21 is very young. Like, honestly, it's very young.
It is, yeah.
I should have probably moved out of my house sooner, maybe grown up a little quicker, but that was my scenario.
What does should even mean? Like,
Right,
yeah.
I know. And then you throw in like family dynamics. You're having in-laws. You're having all of this at once. And it was like just a lot for me, right? Now I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want, you're having to think about all these things. Like, I'm an adult. I'm supposed to have a kid now. I can barely, like, I've never paid rent before. Like, it was just a bit much for me all at once. So that was a lot. And I remember, like, it reverted to feeling like I was going to throw up all the time.
Oh, that one came back. Yeah, that's true.
That one
yeah.
came back hard when we first got married.
Yeah, that was tough.
So in that time, it was probably about 3 years I dealt with that. Go to like my general practitioner, and I didn't even bring up anxiety. I was there for something else. And he was also my family's physician.
Okay.
So I guess I don't know what I was sharing with him. I really don't remember. And he was like, hey, so, I know your family pretty well, and I think that maybe you should get on Effexor.
And Effexor is a...
Effexor anti-anxiety.
Okay.
I think I was bordering on anxiety and depression. It's like totally both of those. And I was like, okay. And this was before I was into health and wellness, taking care of myself, working out, drinking water, and taking vitamin D. Like, it was before all of that. So I was like, anything to get me out of this hell I've been trapped in for 3 years. Took it. I've always, up until that point, I was very, very thin. Skinny. I was just skinny. Mm-hmm. Took that. I think I gained probably 40 pounds in about a month and a half.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, pretty quick.
That messed me up, right? So but I think that also propelled our health and wellness journey, which was great. Mm-hmm. So I guess it made me feel better, but I was like, I actually hate this. I hate that I have to take this medication to feel better.
I think it feels so long ago now, but I feel like you didn't like the way that you felt. Like, I feel like it helped.
I don't remember.
It almost seemed like it made you blank. Like, sure, you no longer feel anxious, but now you feel almost nothing.
Yeah, except when I'm slamming back CC's Pizza and Whataburger.
Yeah.
That's where I was.
I was thinking Popeyes and Whataburger. Did you say Whataburger?
Yeah, but remember we used to go to CC's a lot.
Yeah, we did.
You liked the Popeyes. I didn't love it.
It was your idea to go.
No, I had never had it. You're the one that liked it.
I can't even remember the last time we ate any of that stuff.
Don't take me. I'll go to Whataburger. Don't hit me with a Popeyes. I can't even wrap my mind around it.
So that's the meds.
That's the meds, right? So I'm like, I'm going to get off of this. And let me tell you, if you've never tried to go off anxiety meds cold turkey, don't do it. I didn't know you're supposed to wean yourself off. That was a whole other trip in itself. Hated it. I was miserable, but I stuck with it. I didn't even tell the doctor I was doing it.
What led to you saying, I don't want to be on this anymore? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Interesting. So what was like what specifically was hard about going off of them?
So like I would turn my head to the left and it'd be like whoom, whoom, reverb. And like I could hear it, I could see it.
Jeez.
For weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was wild. And I like, if you're into stuff like that, it was great. I'm not.
That's insane though.
It was nuts. It was scary. I would have never gone on those medications if I knew how hard it was to get off of them. I wouldn't have done it. I would have started walking, taking care of my body. Like I would have started there first,
right, and
then introduced something. I wouldn't have just done meds first, truly. Anyway, did that. Then I started seeing a therapist.
I feel like there was years between that, though, was there?
Yeah, there was years. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what started it up. You do.
I feel like it was whenever your niece was born or when you started taking care of your niece. For some reason, I feel like there was like a little bit of a catalyst there.
Oh, maybe because she gave a different meaning to my life. That's true. I could see that. And that was great. Honestly, that was a step in the right direction for me.
Technically not a therapist, right?
She was a counselor.
Yeah.
I didn't really know the difference at the time. Oh, I think my anxiety was stirring up too. Like when she would get sick, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I still have to take care of her. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I am not equipped to deal with this. Like her being sick was just very stressful for me. Looking back now, it's like, it's really not that big of a deal.
Well, yeah. And for those of you that don't have kids or don't deal with kids often, if they sneeze like directly into
your mouth.
Yeah.
It's into your mouth.
They're just really disrespectful with their bodily fluids and stuff like
they put their sick, wet fingers in your nose and your mouth.
Yeah.
They drink your drinks without you knowing it.
So if that's a thing for you,
having
a kid is like exposure therapy for you.
Yeah, either start working on it now or have a kid and just go all in.
Yeah, right. Rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, I don't know which is best.
So lifestyle changes, I think, are definitely...
this is not a health and wellness... Well, I guess maybe it is. Health and fitness podcast. But I am a firm believer that movement is the key. Mm-hmm. It's the starting point. It's not the cure, but it's the starting point.
Well, yeah, movement, properly feeding your body, properly...
Seed oils, don't get me started.
Well, yeah. That can be the next episode. But yes... Moving your body doesn't have to be something big. And and then focusing on like actually putting real nutrients into you has a massive effect in your brain, being hydrated, all of that.
Yeah.
And then obviously the coping mechanism thing that I don't know if I like that term. Coping mechanism sounds weird.
When you said coping mechanism, I was like, oh, like giving in to your OCD or.
So let's just call it. I'll just lump all that other stuff into lifestyle changes. So being mindfulness, doing breath work, stuff like that.
Do a little bit of yoga.
That's something that has had a massive effect on me. I remember like a year ago, you walking in, maybe it's actually a few years ago, you walking on me.
What?
Laying in my bed with my arm up here. It was my watch because I was doing like the Apple Watch recommended breath stuff.
Dude, that Apple Watch breath work leaves me breathless.
Oh, see, I
Their
love it.
count is terrible. My heart rate was always higher afterwards because I was trying to stay on beat with their breaths.
But yeah.
Did I
think
not also walk in on you one time in the dark by yourself, staring at a candle?
Yeah, that was mindfulness. Yes. I was kind of gazing at that candle and just you know.
What were you thinking about?
I was actually trying to clear my head as much as possible. Focus on the flame, not think about anything else. Which is one, like, I think mindfulness can mean a lot of different things. I personally was trying to get stuff out of my head.
Yes.
Which is really hard for me. My brain's just always going. There's like, some people say there's
Sometimes
like a hamster
I
wheel.
wonder.
Well, it's because I'm like in here. I'm on one of my hamster wheels whenever you're wondering.
Let's talk about breath work.
Yeah.
I feel like you're a heavy breath work guy. Heavy breath.
So, I am, and I've done research on it for a long time. And then one person who I hope to bring on as a guest has become like a professional breath work person.
Yeah. And like, if you guys knew her, you'd be like, that makes sense. That's perfect for her.
Yeah. I mean, let's
It's
put it
perfect
into
for
the
her.
universe. She's going to come on.
She's gonna. I know she
Yeah.
will. Suzette, we're coming for you, girl.
So, yes, I think for me, it's similar to the other thing where it makes it to where if I'm focusing on my breath, I'm not thinking about anything else or worrying about anything else or anything like that. And it's easy, especially if it's guided, it's easy to just be like, okay, now's the part where I'm breathing in. Now the part where I'm going to hold it.
The thought of that doesn't make me feel well.
Yeah, well, you found. I think that's actually a really good thing to talk about before we move on to the next thing. Is that like there's not one. The fix is different for everybody. The solution, the right mix is it's individual, personal. So you found what works for you. I'm working on what works for me. Luckily, exercising works for both of us.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're gonna move on to the portion.
Oh,
where
we turned the page of his outline.
We have we're going to flip over to some listener submitted questions.
Oof, those were some good ones.
Great questions. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. So anyway, in conclusion, this has really been the whole idea for the first episode. I think we might just break down like topic by topic going forward. We're obviously going to bring in some guests. And we're just going to kind of dive deeper into some stories, some problems we've dealt with, some solutions, anything that you want to like actually say about what we would like to do moving forward, what the goal is for you, why you had the idea to do this.
I think that like the same as you, right? We've been anxious our whole lives. I've known it for a while. You just found out. And for me, knowing someone else is also anxious actually makes me feel a lot better.
Okay.
So I just want to make people laugh, because if we can't make anyone laugh, I'm not interested.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my vibe.
I think there'll be more laughs as things go. Like I said, like the outline kind of.
Did you outline any laughter in there? Or?
It's hard to outline laughter.
Is it?
Yeah.
And yeah, I just really want to I want to highlight it in all areas, right? I want to talk to people that are anxious, how that has affected their life, in what ways, right? Some people, become alcoholics or addicts or something. I could easily fall into something like that, and I know it,
Same,
right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I want to talk about that. How did that happen? How did you get out of it? Are you still in it? I want to talk to people that aren't anxious, and then I want to convince them that they are.
Oh yeah, we need to break some people down on the show for sure.
I got a couple ideas.
Okay.
One's going to be a tough shell to crack.
Okay, I think I know who you're talking about. And then also, I think it'd be really cool if we eventually, similar to the breathwork professional that I mentioned, I think it'd be really cool to start bringing in professional people that can like actually add real value to the conversation as professionals.
So we talked about this, bringing in a therapist that we use, but flipping the script on her. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's really dive in. Let's unpack why you went down the route of becoming a psychologist. Is it a psychologist or a psychiatrist?
They both exist. It would.
Anyway,
I think she's a psychologist.
I think there's a lot to break down there. Like, what were you dealing with that you felt like?
Right.
You needed to help us. Because now we're here to help you.
Definitely.
But also, there's a copay.
This is how we make our money back from the sessions we did.
Yeah, she pays us a copay.
Yeah.
And because there's two of us, it's double. Because, like if it's a couples therapy session, it costs more than if it's just you.
Exactly. And we don't take insurance, so it's not a copay. It's actually
we're
just
not in
out
her
of
network.
pocket. It's out of pocket.
Not in her network.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really great... Was that on your outline?
No, that was a pure...
So wait, does your outline account for what we're going to speak about next?
No, it actually doesn't.
Whoa.
I kind of fully thought...
He keeps checking the time.
That this conversation would last an hour. But it's only been 43 minutes.
We are good at this already.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so now here's what we got to do. A, we got to do this again. B, you need to come up with another one of those outlines.
You got it.
C, we have the artwork.
The artwor's great, guys.
It's so cute.
You've already seen it.
It's so cute. We also need a song. Intro, outro. We got to it's going to set the vibe.
I'll hum a beat and you sing the song real quick, okay? 3, 2, 1. I thought you were going to start singing first.
No.
Okay. No? You didn't want to just come up with a song?
No.
How do you want to you just want to pick a song?
Yeah.
We're going to have to find some, what's it called? Public domain music too.
I mean, I think there's a rule. If it's just a few seconds, it's fine.
Okay.
I made that up. I really don't know.
We'll figure it out.
Anyway, you know what I'd like to talk about next week?
Hold on. For real, let me jot it down.
I would like to talk about, because this is something I realized in the last few months that I am susceptible to and I fall into.
Okay.
Dissociating.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big one, and that affects a lot of people's lives other than your own.
Is it disassociating?
Disassociating. Man, I don't know.
Guess what? Guess who knows?
ChatGPT.
Someone on the internet. Yeah.
Okay.
I just wrote disassociating. I might be wrong. You definitely clearly say dissociating.
Dissociating.
Dissociating. Anyway, glad we did this.
Yeah.
I hope that in some way this was helpful to somebody.
I'm going to check my heart rate on my watch over these last 45 minutes.
Do you want to do it real quick or give the people an update on your heart rate?
Yeah, it'll tell me if I was actually stressed or not. I bet I was stressed.
You seemed calm.
And that's the thing. Here's what's cool about me. Nobody knows how anxious I actually am because I can play it real cool.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Survival behaviors.
Sometimes,
While
not
she's looking
often.
at that, I got this Sharpie S Gel pen, and it is the most satisfying click.
High stress.
Really?
Well, I'm also sitting up straight too, and that really seems to affect my heart rate as well. That's why I loosened this up and sat like this.
How does this define stress? Does it just mean that your heart rate was elevated, or does it mean actually
I wasn't in a resting state. There's levels of low and high.
So you could just be hyped. You could just be excited to be having this conversation. I have my shirt off. You already mentioned that. That usually elevates
I've
your
been
heart
staring
rate.
at this one guy right here the whole time. He's been staring at me too. That left nip. I have been looking at. It's looking right at me.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, that's probably the point where we should stop the show.
All right. Well, hey everybody, I just want to say, take a 15-minute walk. Have a glass of water.
Several glasses of water, yeah, for sure.
And call me tomorrow.
Thanks for listening.